Okay.
Oh.
Welcome, everybody, to our regularly scheduled March 3rd Township Committee meeting, Bedminster Township. We have our full complement of our Township Committee together. Can I have the Open Public Meetings Act statement, Ms. Sullivan?
Yes, sir. Just opening up my computer here. Adequate notice of this regular meeting of the Township Committee was sent to the Burnesville News in Burnesville, Courier News in Somerville, to all subscribers, posted here at the Municipal Building as of January 6, 2014.
Okay, I would ask you all to join in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag
Flag of the
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have two sets of meeting minutes on tonight's agenda, February 18th, both the regular meeting minutes and the executive session minutes. Does anyone have any comments or questions?
Just one in the new business of the last regular meeting. There was about the property tax abatement program, the business tax. It was 12 towns, it was written that 12 towns were participating in this, and I believe it's just 7.
7 towns, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. Does anybody else have any comments or questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion for those minutes.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, twice at every meeting, we open up the meeting to members of the public who wish to comment on anything that's not on tonight's agenda. There's a podium and a microphone. If you wish to comment, please step to the microphone, identify yourself, and provide your address. Okay, seeing none, there will be another opportunity at the end of the meeting. Monthly report discussion by our subcommittee chairs. Mr. Payne.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mayor. This is awards week. Judy and I will be in I don't know who else will be attending the JIF. Breakfast.
Some of our safety committee members,
Right. And
Jim
that
Metzler,
is,
Tina Lindsay.
that's this week, and we always come away with, seem to come away with some award, right? And that should be the same thing this year.
Friday, right.
Okay. And then we have the basketball award assembly. I think everybody saw that. So that's another thing we'll be attending. And speaking of attendance, and I'll do this real briefly because it was very useful and informative. I attended the Governor Christie Town Hall meeting last week in Long Hill, and I don't know if anybody saw any of the clips that were on TV about it. But the one thing that struck me when I came away from that was the percentage of the state budget that is made up of health benefits, pension for retirees, and debt service. And I can't remember the number, but it was a pretty startling number. And just like with the municipalities, of course, with Bedminster, debt service is not a tremendous burden for us, but health and pension benefits, of course, are with every municipality. And it's just amazing that if health costs could ever get under control or be reduced, and along with the insurance, which is directly tied to it, what a benefit that would be for taxpayers, both on the state and the local level. And the other thing that that the governor did talk about, which is something we're probably going to see in the future, moving away from defined benefit plans to 401k style plans for municipal and state and government employees in New Jersey. So stay tuned to hear more about that, because that's a big move away from what has been traditionally in place for decades, right?
Right, I know with IBM, where my husband worked for many years, they did that 15, 20 years ago, moved to a 401k, so.
And that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Carol?
Anyway, I don't have anything to report, just budget meetings, which we all have been going to.
Seems like we were all together just a few days
Just
ago.
Saturday.
Mr. Jacobs?
No comments.
Ms. Santucci?
I don't either, Mayor.
And I don't think I have anything since we last met. Administrators report.
Nothing really, other than the fact it is our hope to finalize a few things with the budget following our number of meetings, 6, 7 meetings we've had. It would be scheduled to be introduced on our next meeting, March 17th, sorry, with an adoption in April, so.
I remember being on this committee and we had 11 meetings, so.
Wow.
Right now, I think we're still way ahead, but I don't,
Right.
We're not done
Now,
yet.
And it would be my intention to
We can
have
no,
a brief presentation
yes.
at the 17th meeting or at the hearing, or both. I don't know. I've done it both ways,
Okay.
so.
Are we supposed to wear green that night?
Probably.
Yeah.
More for St. Patrick's Day, though, than money, I guess.
No, I don't, yeah, I don't think it would be for the budget.
Mayor, are we still meeting
Will
this
anyone be
Wednesday?
wearing red? Sorry.
I'm sorry, are we still meeting this Wednesday? I have it on the calendar for
Well,
the
I
budget.
think that really depends on the outcome of tonight's
Okay.
activity. So I think that's the issue. Okay. We do have one ordinance to introduce tonight, and it is something that we do every year, and it sounds more interesting than it actually is, and it's ordinance number 2014-002. It's an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. This is a public hearing which we will have on our March 17th meeting, 7 PM in these chambers, and that is more to establish a cap bank.
Right.
It really does not have anything to
This
do
would
with
be
us exceeding.
the exceptions that are allowed, that a town is allowed to take in the budget process. If you don't take them to the full extent, you can actually bank that money and use it within the next 3 years if needed. Now, we've only had to do it once that I can remember, when we had a very difficult year, but it's always an emergency measure that's good to do.
All right, and that more we can discuss it at greater length at the public hearing. So can I get do I have any comments or questions? If not, can I get ordinance 2014-002, a motion to introduce?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We have no ordinances for public hearing tonight. Consent agenda, do we really have anything on the consent agenda?
Just one item.
Oh.
It may not be in your books, but it was added at the end of the day today. This would be authorizing an emergency temporary appropriation. It's Resolution 2014-039. I believe you should
Oh,
have it in your book.
it is in our book.
It's appropriating some additional monies for Public Works for overtime purposes. His budget has been depleted.
Okay. This is Public Works, and this is,
So it's moving
Direct-
there's 5,000 remaining in his overtime budget that would be equal to last year's budget. We gave him 30,000. We need another 5 before we adopt our actual budget for this year.
okay. And we've already done a little bit of discussing on the DPW budget in a previous budget meeting, and hopefully we can come to some resolution on that tonight. Any comments or questions on this, on 2014-039? If not, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Because we're discussing money, we need a roll call vote. Ms. Freeman?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Mr. Payne?
Aye.
Ms. Santucci? Aye. Mayor Parker?
All right.
Thank you.
New business, we don't have any. Old business, we have 3 items. I'd like to get to A last, and just for the interest of time here. But items B and C, videotaping and property tax reward program. Is there anything new since last we've met?
No, and I was going to propose we hold both of them until after we're done with the budget, since neither one has any time frame, and since Judy and the rest of us seem to be pretty busy with the budget, and Judy will continue to be busy with the budget until it's, I don't know, you tell us at what point you think we could put these back on the agenda and discuss them.
I agree.
A capital idea, Carolyn.
Yeah.
Sounds prudent to me.
Why don't we wait until after the budget is adopted in April?
Okay.
So,
Yeah, because we need to meet, you and Larry and I and Sean, and really get into the nitty-gritty of B. And then with C, the property tax reward program, I spoke with Ira, what's his last name?
Katz.
Katz, who's at the Far Hills Pharmacy. He just finally called me back yesterday, and he's all excited about it, but he didn't seem to know all that much about it. And so I think the best thing to do with that, and Bernie and I were just talking about this, is hold it. And also, you know, the BBA, I don't know, they might want to have a representative of the program come and talk to them at their meeting, or come to this meeting. We have to decide all that.
Gonna have a little better focus on it.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And I also got wind of a program in Hillsborough that they don't use this contractor. They have their own program, so I wanted to look into that. Someone had told me about that a while ago, and for some reason it just re-entered my mind that I should look into that too, so.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll do it after the budget in
Yeah, I think so.
April.
Everybody agrees with that, I'm sure they do, so.
We do.
All right, so that moves us back to item A on old business. Excuse me, the municipal budget. And for those scoring at home, we are on capital plan K and L. Whereas L is the newest one in front. Do we have a?
That was for last, maybe.
Yes, you have a package that has
Good one.
3 capital plans with L on top.
So when last we met,
We were reviewing J and K,
okay,
and some changes were made to both, and those were revised and put into capital plan L that you have in front of you on top.
okay, so J has the loan. And K is phased.
Right, so what L kind of takes K forward with no loan and reduces the amount of funding put aside in an ordinance this year to help fund the hike and bike to Burnt Mills next year, reducing it from 200 down to 125. We had identified maybe we only needed about 75,000 less to make that work. And then you will also see 2 other changes. We identified, when we were talking about the cost, John Mance reminded us that the $50,000 required to do the various permits was not listed in the estimate. So I put 25,000 in 2014 and 25,000 in 2015 to fund that.
So that under, yeah, the 2014 design inspection permits goes from 50 to 75, and then we have additional 25 and 15.
115 to accommodate the permits. And then the one other change, speaking with John Mance this morning, regarding the replacement of the Calfee system for the building here, as we noted, just came up. The estimate for that project is around $35,000. We have an ordinance currently that has about $39,000 in it that we can use. However, that leaves no money then available for any building projects or repairs that might come up of a capital nature.
Right.
And we like to have at least a little
Somebody breaks a
Safety net.
window, something.
a little safety net. So you will see, I put a number of $30,000 there at the top, and we're able to accommodate and still keep the number at that around 350 number for a total.
Judy, it says on the, it says building upgrades dash Khalifi,
Right.
and then underneath it says replace Khalifi.
Well, looks like the top Khalifi really doesn't mean.
Right, the
Oh,
top
right,
Khalifa
alright.
you
Just
can cross
scratch.
out.
Alright,
It would just be for
It's just
building,
building upgrades.
building
building
upgrades. You know, we have a roof repair, we have, I don't know, any number of things, and that's for the whole all the municipal buildings. It's just that would wipe us out, and we need to have a safety net there. So
So
those
that's an L.
those are the changes in L, and that's reducing from 390 to 350.
But when we were to look at K, or J,
Well, I suspect really the big choices here are between J and L.
so between J and L, do we
Right.
still have, in J, we have building upgrade salt barn,
And again, that's,
Where did it?
Originally, the building upgrades in Salt Barn was kind of tied to that, the same number as was on emptying out ordinance 2013-11F.
right.
If you kind of see, it's really the same number.
Just to make sure, but we're comparing everything equally, so. For building upgrades and replace Khalifi system, should those numbers replace the numbers on J?
We could, and it's just, I tried to keep the plan,
Yeah, she tried
How it
not
was
to change
originally
it.
Try not to
produced,
change it
so
to
we
like
can-
J1 or J.
right, so we can
right.
just see how it,
And
how it-
Plan J does not include everything for inspections and
No,
permits?
it
so
didn't
we're
include
still
the
miss-
permits,
All right.
the 50,000 in permits. And
So
that-
J is not really an option, so to speak.
Not really.
Not-
Well, there's still,
Unless we
So it's
create
really
another
between
hybrid.
K, do you want to borrow some of the funding?
no, K doesn't have a,
Wait a minute, I'm mixing them up, all right.
I mean, the only element of
It's
J
J and L.
that we were considering is any type of loan funding.
Right, J has the loan and L does not.
And either, okay.
and if we look towards the top sheet on the others, this was the other thing I think we spent a lot of time on Saturday looking at. And part of it was trying to put some money back into the DPW budget.
Yes. So what we identified, we had listed all the possible options to move money. And it was suggested that some of the items not be cut, but be moved to another department, maybe that would be more needy. And we determined that we could free up between $70,000 and $75,000 to go to the DPW budget for snow removal and road repair. So that's the number. If you look at that summary sheet, we're subtracting a lot of numbers, but then you see me adding in about 73,500 back to John's budget. And that ends up, rather than, to end up at a 2.9% amount to be, increase to the amount to be raised by taxes.
And what percentage for the school tax collection were we putting into that? The raise to the
I
school taxes?
estimated it at 2%.
2%.
That would only change the reserve for uncollected taxes calculation. It does impact our budget, however.
Yep, there's really not much we can do about it.
Right.
The only thing about looking at L, and it's probably, I shouldn't even be going that far down the column, but I'm looking at year 2015, and I know that's a really ballpark number, but I go down to the bottom of the year 2015, and that's a big number.
It's an extra $100,000.
Well,
So,
and let me draw to your
what can we do
attention,
in 2014 to possibly mitigate?
let me draw to your attention that
Surplus.
there's no
Surplus.
capital fund surplus being applied.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll make it.
Well, if we were to incorporate into L, a loan, and maybe it's not even the 270 that we had in J, but some type of short-term funding, then that number in 2015 would go down, right?
Well, your debt service would increase, though.
But your debt service would go up by
Right, but
from 90 to 95,000. So so what you're saving in the capital budget, you're going to increase in the debt service. And your
Right, but
bottom
it's-
line
once again-
budget
but
will
once again,
basically.
we're spreading it out, though, whether it's 3 years, 5 years. or
Right, but it's
something.
still about 90 to 95,000 per year that your debt service will increase, which is about the difference between 2014 and 2015 capital budget.
Well, and the impact at the bottom line would be the interest and whatever portion of it that we're amortizing. So it's not like the whole budget's gonna increase by 95,000 in 2014 right?
No, your debt service line will go up.
The debt service line, but the
95,000,
act-
which
but-
is still part of your budget line. your
Yeah, I mean, I
total
know, I
budget.
understand that part, but
And something to also consider, and I hate debating next year's budget, 'cause we haven't gotten through this year's, but if you look at the pavement management plan, we're hoping, keeping our fingers crossed, for a grant for Robertson Road. And we have a dollar figure, a guesstimate for Robertson Road.
Which is only 200, right?
But we're also planning to still sock away another 75,000 in pavement management. Well, we're gonna sock away money for pavement management in a year we're doing pavement.
Why don't we-
That money,
why don't we
that
apply it?
figure might be tweaked.
Right, and applied.
But by the same token, that also, you take that money away, and if something else comes up, if we have a sinkhole or something in a road, a township road, we haven't put a little extra money away for that, so.
So that's certainly
And-
a
right, well,
number
there's a
that
lot
goes
of-
Right,
into it.
and Judy had mentioned that
There's
she's
a lot of
not
play in-
applying capital fund surplus
Right.
under the
Right.
2015 year.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of play in that
Hopefully there will be
2015
some.
number.
There's wiggle room, if you want to call it that.
All right, then I can sleep at night then.
All right,
I just didn't want to think we're moving too much from 2014 to 2015, but we're really not then.
I think having gone through however many numbers it takes to get to L, I think I can live with capital plan L.
And just to summarize, the $73,455 that we decided to keep in the budget, it's going to Public Works.
Yeah.
And that's what took every 70,000 is about a 1%.
Yep,
So that's what took it, we were at 1.9%
Yep.
in the amount to be raised by taxes. With our appropriations, we're actually at, wait a minute. We're actually at,
our change, our delta,
wait a minute.
change from
We're
previous year.
actually at 0.02%. So with
Not
the additional,
2%,
with
0.02.
the additional 73,000, it brings it to 1.54% in our appropriations. And then the amount to be raised by taxes goes from the 1.9 to the 2.9. So,
This is still well under,
you have a sheet in there too that shows you the levy cap summary. And, this summarizes, the amount to be raised by taxes for the municipal portion, which is just the municipal, taxes. It doesn't include all the other things. But it also takes the exceptions for the amount we went over on pension and, healthcare, and, it takes into effect, we identified approximately 18,000 that we had to account for this year for snow removal. If we take all those exceptions, exclusions, which we're not taking them, but if we did, we're still $329,000 under where our levy cap could be, our levy could be. So that's what would be banked for us going forward.
Judy, in the email you sent out, you had this sheet right here, where you took the municipal rate,
That's the reserve fund collected taxes sheet, yes.
right, and then at the bottom, you have the open space, you have the municipal library, and you have the municipal. And Larry, forgive me if I'm talking about rate, I know. But at the bottom, it says total rate, you have .3242. So that's what you're anticipating along with the reserve for uncollected taxes.
Right.
For the
That-
municipal portion, for the three
Right,
municipal.
that's calculating the
components.
county and the school at 2%. Now, that would change slightly if they come in at a different number.
But the rate for municipal taxes, if you took the municipal rate, the open space municipal tax.
Right, I
and
mean,
the-
that
And the
w-
library, it would come to 32.42, right?
Right.
Okay, so I did some real quick back of the envelope, but if you took the average assessed house for 2014, which had an increase of 3.6, I believe, assessed value, and you applied that tax rate, it looks like for the average assessed house, including their increase in assessed value, which may or may not be totally the same. Looks like maybe a 90-something dollar increase.
It comes about $92.
All right, not too bad then, huh? Okay.
Considering that also their assessment went up, as you're saying, 3.6 or more.
Right.
So,
So, and considering we're doing everything that the mayor, and the committee, we're doing everything we set out to do. We're
Right,
not we're not borrowing any more money.
our goal was not to take any exclusions,
right.
but
We didn't take-
the weather has really
We're
knocked us
building,
good.
we're
so-
building the surplus,
Well, we hope.
right? We
We
hope
hope.
we're doing that, but we're not borrowing any extra money. We're fairly close to the aspirational goal of the CPI, by,
Had we taken every exclusion, we would have been at probably around 5.5%.
right.
We're not
So-
doing that.
I think that's, I think we get pretty close to what we set out to do.
Any other comments?
I'm comfortable with our budget proposal L.
Carolyn?
I'm
Capital.
fine with L. Yep, I think it's,
Mr. Jacobs? You helped write it.
I'm okay with that.
All right.
Your fingerprints are all over there.
Well, since it, ended at my initial, I think that's good.
Oh, yeah.
Can just one question.
But you wouldn't have taken J?
I would take in J too.
It
One-
really allows us to keep.
I wanted to have the L with the J.
Just one question I had when I was driving over here, it hit me, and maybe it's, I didn't see it, but the amount of the open space tax that we put aside via the referendum for maintenance, are we utilizing all of that, or?
We are
part of it?
using every penny we
You
can,
are,
Bernie.
okay.
Yeah.
20%.
On one of your sheets,
Mm-hmm.
it's the anticipated revenue sheet, which is at the back of your packet.
Right, mhm.
We had started off estimating $10,000 from the open space tax to offset some costs, again, in public works to maintain some of the open space. We've increased that now with the budget meeting we had with the open space committee and the recommendations for the using of that maintenance line. We were offsetting, we're closer to $35,000 that we're using from the $70,000 we have in the budget. So about half of it is offsetting costs in our operating budget. And then half of the costs are being used directly to pay for certain functions for the maintenance. Like, we're gonna pay the bills directly. So,
that's
yeah,
great.
Okay.
it's really helping a lot.
Well, I want to thank all the members of this committee, and I want to thank all the members of the staff. This was not easy. Budgets are never easy in this day and age, and it's at all levels of government, money is getting scarce, and we cannot just simply lightly go forth and ask the taxpayers to cough up more, because their wages are not going up in many cases. We are in the most heavy, if not we're certainly in the top 5 of the most heavily taxed states in the union, and property taxes, which is what we have some bit of control over, is probably the bane of New Jersey's existence, is how high our property taxes are. Yet municipal services are important, and as we drive through our town, and we expect to have passable roads, we expect to be protected from crime, and we expect to have good schools to send our children to. So it's a very tough balancing act, and as you heard, we went through Plan L, and I too shell-shocked to remember how many numbers L equals, but I appreciate that this committee worked very hard for all the taxpayers. We could have gone to the max allowed by the law and taken every exemption, and I'm sure our auditors would probably be a little happier with that we brought in as much money as the state would allow. And, but we didn't. And I appreciate, again, everyone's hard work on that.
Especially Judy and John Mance, who
Yes.
came to every meeting and was able to, willing to sacrifice or do whatever it took to get things done. I really think, and Judy's amazing. I mean, she really makes it easy for us. Not easy, but as easy as it could be. I mean, every meeting we go to, there are endless clear charts and options, So thank you very much to both of you for really making it, as easy as it could be for us.
Thank you.
Now, having said that, I believe this means, Bernie, that we do not have to have a Wednesday meeting or a Monday meeting of next week.
We
Is that
had
correct?
2 additional sessions on the calendar if needed. It was my hope not to use them, but they're there.
So, having said that, let us move to the second option for public comments. If there is a member of the public that wishes to comment, step forth to the microphone, identify yourself and your address for the audio tape, and let yourself be heard.
A little short here today. Howard Wolko, Long Meadow Road, Bedminster, New Jersey. I want to thank the committee for the work that you've done. I've attended a number of these meetings, and I think that you guys really have gone through all sorts of different scenarios. One thing I think needs to be said, though, when you look at the budget, the budget isn't just numbers that you've been crunching, but the number really turns into people. That, by my quick calculation, I think 75% of the budget is salaries, and it comes out like 20% is the police department, which is one of the wonderful things about our community. 10% is the Department of Public Works, and another 10%, I believe, is the library. More or less, just rough calculated on some numbers that Judy gave us with Plan B or C or D, like so many weeks ago. And I've heard a lot about, combining communities, combining police forces, and, shared services. And I think shared services and all that makes sense when, you have a group of people that aren't performing at 100% or 110% like this town is. I just, again, want to say, with so much wrapped up in salary and with so much that we do in this town, with the people that we do in this town, I think it's great that we came in at 2%, and I would, caution the town from looking into things that might sound good in one context, but when you really run the numbers out to the end, don't work out. Thank you.
Well, your budget is your roadmap for the year. It tells you what, not just a spreadsheet to get to a given number, but it is your roadmap for what you will do and what you won't be able to do for your citizens for the year. It sets your priorities. The 2% cap, when you have constantly rising other costs, whether it be health care or pensions or whatever, those are things that need to be paid. And every year this gets more difficult. And whether it's consolidation or shared services, the 2% cap is there to constrain municipalities, and it's like a game of musical chairs. And at some point, every couple of years, a chair is going to get removed, and you still got to sit down when the music stops. And those things are going to happen eventually, and it's just going to be a matter of towns getting to the point where they can't take it anymore, and they have to provide services, and they're going to have to look for partners. It's going to happen,
I agree with you on that. I would
in
just,
my opinion.
I would just caution that sometimes, when you look for a partner, you may find that you're more partner than the other partner.
Well, it's always about how you strike the deal, and it's, you cannot simply have a race to the bottom
100% agree. I just,
because things fall out then. So, but I thank you for your comment.
you are.
Thank you.
Township Committee comments.
Yes, Mayor.
Mr. Payne.
To Mr. Walkoff's comments, Bedminster's been one of the communities that has really been, for many years, at the forefront of sharing services and looking for those scaling and for those efficiencies. And I've always been a believer there's, any forced marriages don't work, and that you got to be willing to walk down the aisle with another community, and it's got to make sense for everyone. And to your other comments about this budget, and I have to say I commend my colleagues, because I think what we put together was a very sound budget. there's no smoke and mirror, there's no budget alchemy at play here. And there is a big, there's a big temptation by a lot of municipalities to go into these budgets and defer, move money around, borrow, do whatever they can to make the present day look a lot better than it really is. And, you know, we learned long ago in Bedminster that we don't put things on the township credit card anymore. Not that we ever did, because we're the envy of a lot of municipalities, because we didn't put it on the township credit card. And we can look around at a lot of different towns in New Jersey where, you know, they've run out of tricks. There's no more rabbits out of the hat, and we haven't been doing that. And I think this is a sound budget. We can still provide the valuable services and the necessary, the essential services that everybody's come to expect. And in the final analysis, it's about the residents feel they're getting value for what they're paying. Forget what the number is do they could perceive that there's value there? And I think as long as that's the case, then we're doing our job.
Yep.
That's it.
Carol?
Just also briefly to say, and I think they get value mostly because our employees give 100%. Since I like math, I never say 110%. They give 100%. They give all they can give, and I do appreciate that. And just quickly, I know, Howard, you were here at every budget meeting, which I think is great, and Basil was here at quite a few, which I think is wonderful. One thing you didn't see that we did last year is we really went into more, this year we spent a lot more time on the capital budget. But last year, we spent a lot of time on the operating budget, and we had department heads here, and we really went into each department, recreation, to see where we could get every penny. And just so you know, it was, you know, and this year we didn't have to do that because we did it last year, and we really tightened some things up. So, you know, you sort of didn't get a total balanced view of what we do with the budget this year because we had done that last year. So you didn't see too much of the operating budget, but, you know, that's pretty much set now for a while, I think. But thank you for coming.
Mr. Jacobs?
No comments.
Ms. Santucci?
I echo my colleagues' comments as well. Thank you for all your hard work. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. Switching gears for just 1 second, though, I just wanted to remind everybody of the bridge closings this Friday coming up, Friday, March 7th, just to get your little detours ready.
Burnt Mills Road?
Burnt Mills Road.
Sure.
So I know that the detours are on our website, Judy, I believe,
Yes,
still.
they are.
So maybe just take a minute to familiarize yourself.
So the 11 p.m. this Friday, I
This
think.
Friday, March 7th, just to remind everybody.
I hope that means that Saturday morning there will be work being done.
I
They don't
think
just
they're
get
ready.
closed
I think they're ready.
for anticipation for Monday morning.
Yeah, and I think they're gonna try to go as quickly as they can.
No, it's tough, you know, infrastructure has to be fixed. So. And I think I've said my piece before, so I thank you all for coming. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Yeehaw.